Welcome to the Millennovator podcast, episode number 17. For the last 16 weeks, we have been interviewing top entrepreneurs from across the globe. Consider this episode the highlight reel. You're listening to the Millennovator podcast, where we host the most innovative millennial entrepreneurs, and you learn the secret tips, proven tricks, and profitable tools they have picked up from entrepreneurial infancy to straight up business empire, and every stage in between. And now, your hosts and money Millennovators, Jonathan and Will.
Give me the mic, knock down, blow right down. I'm trying to sit it knock down, blow right down. You trying to get it knocked down.
Well, Jonathan, my friend, we have officially made it to 4 months on the show. Is there like any kind of like something that we could pop or like kazoos or some crazy like actions
I wish
that
we
our
had
editor could
kazoos.
throw in? Because maybe some like sound effects of audience clapping or a pat on the back. I mean, anything.
Yeah, we're not quite on the status yet here, but we have talked about, how radio shows will have like the panel of buttons they can hit for sound effects.
We need a soundboard,
really
man,
want that.
because this is where the audience clapping could come in. Because guess what, my friends? Those of you listening, you've gotten us to the 4-month mark. Thank you, number one, for being a dedicated listener.
Thank you.
You guys are always out there, always downloading the show when it drops on Tuesdays. You are seriously our best friends, and we don't even know so many of you. And I'm going to get to that later on, actually. We're going to get to know you a little bit later on, teaser for the end of the episode. But we don't know so many of you, but you're out there listening, you're out there tuning in, you're out there honing in and sharpening your entrepreneurial skills. And for that, my friend, I commend you. That leads me to today's show.
Wow.
It's our first highlight reel, right?
Yes, so we're super excited. After 4 months of doing this and after 16 episodes, we really just wanted to go through and just highlight some of our favorite parts and just walk you through some of those things, some of those nuggets. And I'm really excited about this episode. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to have anybody that we're interviewing, but we're really excited because we really feel like it's a time to break down those interviews that we've had thus far and share those with you.
Well, and what's so solid is we are going to teach you, one, how to find the right side hustle. So if you're just now picking up the show or if you've missed some episodes in the past, we're going to go through a few episodes in each of these categories and pull some of the nuggets, as Jonathan just said, out from those interviews. So number one, we're going to teach you how to find the right side hustle for you, the right side hustle that you can get out there and take on full time eventually and love what you do every single day. That, my friend, is very, very important. But number two, we're also going to teach you how to do it. Like, where do you begin? Where do you start? Teaser, you just need to start.
Seems to be a common theme, but we'll talk about that.
And there's some really good stuff going in with number two, by the way. Some of my favorite episodes involved with that. And number three, how to use exactly what's right in front of you for free. Look, you don't have to have hundreds or tens or 20s of thousands of dollars to begin a business.
You don't.
All you need is tenacity, grit, and a few resources that we fortunately have for you at millennovator.com. And a couple of other really cool things that we're going to throw in there and using what's right in front of you. So let's get started on this.
Let's
man.
do it.
Oh, you mentioned a really good point to me. Jonathan and I were talking the other day. And you mentioned how businesses are started two ways.
They are.
Can you go into that before we dive into finding the right side hustle?
Yeah.
Because I think it's very important for people to realize, even prior to like what's right for me, is how do I formulate a business idea?
Oh, for sure. So Will and I were talking. We were really just brainstorming through and talking about some of our recent episodes and the episodes we've had up to this point and the interviews that we've had. And I really just thought about how they started those businesses. And we get into that in all the interviews, as you know. And I realized that a business is started either one of two ways, or it could be both, I guess. And that is, number one, you take something you love and you create your own business out of it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. You love something and you say, man, I really love doing this. I want to do it for myself on my own, the way I want to do it, and not work for somebody else. That's pretty simple, isn't it? But the second reason is kind of the opposite. You take something that you hate, something that's a problem, that you really don't like the process, you solve that problem and create something new. Just like in our last episode, I want to say with Wendy.
Episode 16.
Yeah, exactly. Took a babysitting disaster, just an old traditional way of doing things, and just said, I hate the way this is done. I have kids, and when my wife and I want to go out, it's terrible. So I want to solve this problem. And he did, and bam, there's a business.
And he loves what he does because he's solving a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk briefly a little bit, Jonathan, about how we're going to go over this today. So really quickly, what we're going to do is we have 3 sections of the show. The first is to find the right side hustle. How do you do that? What we're going to do is break down 2 or 3 different episodes, give you some really good pieces of advice from that episode. And if you want to dig into the rest of the episode, just check it out on iTunes or on Stitcher or on Google Play or wherever you're listening to the show. It's that easy. Afterwards, at the very end of the episode, in segment 3, using what's in front of you, we've got some really good freebies, some giveaways for you to go download and start learning and start executing your strategy today. So, how to find the right side hustle. Literally had a whole episode just on side hustles with Nick Loper. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But I want to start with episode 13. Jenny Blake, the author of Pivot.
And the first step is closer than you think. Sometimes it can be confusing. Well, what should I do next? Well, what's already working the best and how can you double down on that? How can you try one next step or one experiment or one stretch? What's one stretchy next step? Now you can scan for people, skills, and projects. So scanning is now about asking what's out there. The mistake most people make is they say, I'm at a pivot point. What's out there? Who can I talk to? What jobs can I look at? And they ignore their own assets. So people, who's doing what you want to do? Who do you admire? Who do you resonate with? Who do you want to meet? Who can you learn from afar, even on a podcast like this one? I'm sure you guys, well, hopefully you got to meet Pat Flynn in person, but that's how you found out about me. You can learn from him from afar. And actually, I'm quite satisfied. Like, Tim Ferriss is my secret BFF. He just doesn't know it yet.
One day.
But yeah, I'm thrilled to learn from him from afar just by watching what he's doing. I actually don't feel like I need to email him and say, hey, can I pick your brain? It's not necessary. So a people strategy is important. And ideally, it's based on everything you've already discovered in the plant stage. And then skills. How do you want to grow in the next year? And how do you need to grow? So if your vision is to completely monetize your side hustle or have it produce X amount of income, well, what skills are you missing? Or if you want to quit your job in a year and one of your unknowns is health insurance, then that's something you need to figure out. And so skills and growth, just identifying. And again, that's the exciting part of pivoting as we grow.
First of all, backstory on Jenny. She worked at Google, her dream job. She wrote a book called Pivot.
A lot of people's dream job.
Yeah, seriously. Left Google to take on the idea of Pivot full time. She now is a business coach and she actually coaches and consults at Google for the Pivot method, which is pretty ironic.
That's awesome.
But the key here is Jenny shares a lot of things in this episode, one of which is going back to when you were a child, how to find the right side hustle for you, like how to find the right entrepreneurship niche for you. What did you love doing when you were a kid? Evaluate the skills that you've picked up on that you can really like go out there and do what you loved as a kid and kill it, right? For some people, it was like collecting things and trading. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money flipping things online.
The most random things ever.
And that's honing in on what you love doing as a kid. So think about what you love doing as a kid and what are some of the skills that you've picked up since then, and then apply them to what you know and how you live on the everyday. And then there's the pivot method in general, right, Jonathan? So let's talk a little bit and unpack a little bit about what that even means to pivot.
Yeah, so the pivot method, the way Jenny explains it in her book, I played a lot of basketball, still do, and it's about literally the pivot move when you're playing basketball. So you plant your foot, and pivoting allows you to move and look in different directions to see your different options.
So you can see me out there swatting your ball away, bro.
I've never seen that because I can't be in your
Yeah,
dreams.
because I'm on the 3 line like Jimmer, bro. Get off of me.
Oh, my God. Oh, this is comical. But that pivot, it gives you the option to scan for a pass, a shot, or even an area, an avenue to dribble. So it gives you those different options to go for.
Jenny's setting you up for success. So she is wanting you to look and see what is the landscape of your life like, and how could entrepreneurship or even your next role in a business, how can you execute that best? So I want to use an example, real life example of something Jonathan and I see and are doing on a day-to-day basis today, right? So Millennovator has grown and continued to grow. Within that comes our efforts of growing the community, and within that comes your efforts of growing the community. You contribute to growing our community hugely by telling people about the show, by getting on the website, by posting on the website, by hooking us up on Facebook, by sending us emails. That grows our community organically. But unfortunately, we can't just depend on you. Jonathan and I have to pay Facebook a summable fee to advertise our products, or our services, our podcast, everything like that. Well, we've gotten decent at the results that we get off of Facebook. And we've seen that small businesses need to do what we have been doing because we've seen successful growth from it. The next pivot move is to offer that to small businesses locally to try it out, to see how it works. We are in the process of offering Facebook ads, sales funnels, campaign creation, all of those types of things for local businesses.
Yep.
And have done a pretty successful job thus far planting the seed in some business owners' heads. So again, that is just a very simple way. We've created a business in Millennovator. What's the next pivot? Well, we've been doing this. It works well for us. Why can't we teach other people to do it and then pay us for it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's really just like she says in the book, you're planting and you're seeing what's the next option. And really the Facebook advertising and all that goes with that online growth marketing is really just what we've seen as, oh, this is an area which not a whole lot of people are doing this, but we see a need. Why can't we do this for people? It's something that we love to do. Let's pivot that direction and take our business that way.
Love that. And it's a perfect segue into episode 12 with Nick Loper and Side Hustle Nation.
It's like, well, I need a website. Well, okay, before I get a website, I need a domain name. How do I register that? Okay, now I need hosting. Where do I go for that? Okay, now I need to find a WordPress theme. Where do I go for that? And it's like kind of step by step by step. Like you kind of piece it together. You figure it out as you go. At least that's kind of my journey in the space.
So Nick's main keys on this show, on episode 12 of the Millennovator podcast, was to teach you how to choose the right side hustle. And he gave us 3 tips of advice. And the third is what I want to focus on today. He talked about utilizing your network. So who do you know and who do they know? And how does what you offer fix a problem for them, right? Jonathan and I happen to have worked with business owners for the last, for me, it's been 48 months. For you, it's been 36 or so months, exclusively with small business owners. Small business owners need growth. They need to learn how to grow, and they want to learn how to grow without spending too much money doing so, right?
Well, they want to know how to grow, but a lot of times you just realize, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but people in some ways are just lazy. They don't want to do that. They want to focus on their craft, and that's great.
Yes,
that's
as they should.
Yeah, as they should. So why can't someone like us say, hey, we offer this, we're good at it, we can prove that we're going to get you results from it in sales. Let us do this for you.
Exactly. And Nick talks a lot more about that, but really recognize in episode 12, recognize how you can utilize your current network.
Yep.
For instance, if you are out there listening, you're a college student, right? In fact, I thought about this earlier, Jonathan. Teachers. I was at dinner with my soon-to-be in-laws, my fiance, my soon-to-be brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and my soon-to-be sister-in-law is a public school teacher. She teaches kindergarten. They face a lot of hardships in the summertime because she's not paid for 3 months.
Yeah.
She has no pay for 3 months. There are a lot of teachers in this country going through the same thing. Their husband's giving them a hard time or their wife's giving them a hard time. They need to find how to make money. Why would you not teach them how to make money on the side? Dedicate a craft.
It's a great idea.
Build a business around that. So it's really about who you know and how you can solve their problems, because if you've got all of that community built around you already, your job's halfway done. Now all you got to do is create the product and the service.
Well, when Will and I first came up with this idea, we immediately went to that, like our network. Who do we know? And really, sometimes you'll find those people that you wouldn't really consider them in your quote unquote network. Because I think a lot of people think of friends and family, right, when they think of network.
Right.
But the person that we thought of first was a guy that's in our workout class at our gym.
Yeah.
Like, that's our network. So don't be closed-minded to, obviously your friends and family are going to be the easiest people to help you out at first, but think broad, think big picture. Think of your entire network. Who are the people that you're talking to at the gym? Who are the people that your wife gets her haircut from or whatever? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and if you really focus on who you have, all the options that you have, you'll be surprised at where you can go within that.
There's gold in them hills.
Let's go.
So in episode 2, which by the way, this was our first ever interview, and poor Ryan had just such a sore throat.
Man, his allergies were just jacked up.
He doesn't always talk like this. Those of you that are going to go back and listen, or those of you who have listened, that's one of our most listened to episodes.
Yeah.
Ryan O'Hare runs and founded Big Spoon Creamery, which is a local artisan ice cream shop who has actually won Alabama Business of the Year for 2017. The guy can't make enough ice cream to keep up with the demand. They are absolutely blowing the doors off of that place. And he started in a different way. And I want to challenge you to think about how you can start today. That's number 2 that we're going to get into in a second.
We kind of had this itch, like we knew we wanted to do our own thing at some point. We got married spring 2014, paid for our own wedding, just bought our first house, kind of cleaned out our savings accounts. That summer, we kind of settled in. Then it was sort of like, what now? And so we started kicking around that ice cream shop idea again. And so we thought, what are we actually waiting on for this? So we kind of felt like, okay, well, this whole idea, if we're actually going to do this, it's not really going to get easier if we have kids. Things kind of get more complicated when you start dealing with those sort of things. And we figured, okay, well, we're young. We do own a house, but all things considering, like, we don't have that much to lose. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of money to put in it, but we thought we don't really have that much to lose. Let's just give it a shot. And so we said, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Like you mentioned previously, like we didn't really want to take on any debt. We wanted to start it really small. So at the time, we really thought what we were starting was like sort of a side hustle. Eventually down the road, maybe this will, turn into a business. And so we said, okay, we're going to set aside this $500. Literally, I'm not making that number up. That's $500. And that's how we're going to start the company.
But Ryan worked at a very upscale restaurant here locally and was on the savory side in the restaurant. His wife, Jerry Martha, was on the sweet side of the restaurant. She was the pastry chef.
Perfect combination, sweet and savory.
And sweet. Let's not go back into that as we did in that episode. Those of you who want to go back and listen to that, you can at episode 2. But Ryan took what he knew and loved, which is ice cream and creating things that people love.
Yeah, well, in its most basic form, food.
Food, right.
Yeah.
And he started a pop-up shop in their driveway. He spent $500 on ingredients and testing some things and like literally just sending some text out to people, hey, come by, come check out the pop-up shop. They sold out of ice cream that day, number 1.
Did they do that twice too, right?
Yeah, they did. But more importantly, who was at that pop-up was a photographer for Southern Living, which is a monstrous nationwide magazine. Actually, I think it was a publicist. They wanted to have Ryan in for an interview. They loved the ice cream that much. Ryan kept his day job for months before he and Jerry Martha both decided to quit and take on Big Spoon full time. That's a very big decision to make.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to think like you can very well do this with your full-time job. That is exactly what a side hustle is.
Yeah, it's not a full-time hustle until that full-time job is no longer there.
Exactly.
So
and our job is to provide you with what you need to get to that point. Now, if you decide to take it on full-time or not, that is your prerogative, not ours.
Right. We're just trying to help you get to that point to make that decision.
To make the decision, to choose, right? Because entrepreneurship rocks, but it also sucks. I want you to know that. But here's the point. Ryan started with what he knew and what he loved. And he started with absolutely nothing. And that leads me into number 2, which is we're going to show you in this segment how to just find a way to do it.
And guys,
to just begin.
If there was any common theme, we picked out a few who were very gung-ho about talking about this, about just getting out there and getting in the game. But if there was a common theme throughout every single episode that we've done, it's that you have to just get out there and do it.
And keep in mind, we select these episodes very strategically for you. We're not just throwing up episodes against a wall and hoping it sticks. That theme that Jonathan just mentioned, getting out there and doing it, that was repetitive for a reason. If you're listening to the show and you're like, dude, 16 weeks, out of those 16, probably 6 of them you've said like, just get out there and do it. Just get in the game. That's for a reason. Listen to us. Just get started. Do not wait anymore. I don't want to hear it.
Just do it.
Just don't say that. We're not getting into trademark issues. So, episode 6.
Okay, so let's talk about episode 6.
Episode 6, BB Goodrich,
We were pumped after episode 6.
Icebox Coffee. Had me so fired up.
Yeah, I had absolutely no true strategy, but and I often say this to people, if you don't try, you're never going to try. I think at the end of the day, what made me say I can do this, again, goes back to what happens if it doesn't work? Who cares if it doesn't work?
So if I were to say pantyhose and gallon buckets, how many of you would be like, oh yeah, it's a coffee company? Not this guy. We were interviewing her for, I don't know, we were on the phone for a while with BB. And finally I just had to ask, what do you do with the pantyhose and the buckets? But go into a little bit of that, Will. I know you're itching to tell about BB because you just love that episode so much.
I just love coffee so much, and BB's such a just bubbly personality. She sounds like she's always on some caffeine, and I'm all about that.
Some caffeine.
But what's more important is how she just got started, right? So she was working for, and I'm going to briefly touch on her story as an inspirational piece. She was working for a nonprofit job when she decided to come back down to the South. And she grew up in New Orleans. And in New Orleans, there is a certain type of cold brew coffee that is very distinguishable as New Orleans cold brew coffee. It's very obvious. There's nowhere else in the world that has that type of coffee. Well, BB lived here in Birmingham at the time. And even though New Orleans isn't that far of a drive, she wanted it here. She couldn't get enough of it. So she started brewing it for herself. She went down to New Orleans, and her dad still lived down there, got the beans for her. She came up here and through some ingenuity, learned how to press the beans through pantyhose into a gallon bucket, and voila, she had New Orleans cold brew coffee.
I mean, talking about just getting out there and just getting after it or just starting, like if you got to do pantyhose in a bucket, I don't care what kind of business you're doing. That's the perfect example of just getting out there and getting started.
Yeah, well, and she had zero intention of like crushing. Well, actually, you're going to listen to the episode. She had very high goals for crushing it, which is awesome. And she fell short of those goals, and she still crushed it.
Oh, yeah.
And let's talk about the end result of BB. BB just recently sold to one of the largest coffee distributors in the Southeast. And that's telling. She started with absolutely nothing, but she started. Okay? Rule number 1, just start.
Just start.
How about those hats that we saw in episode 3?
So episode 3 with Ben Lancaster for Aviate. If any of you have seen any hats with airport codes on them for different cities, that is Aviate. Great idea. It's really taken off. But I love this episode because of how he started. The man just decided, look, I'm going to do this, and he did it with a bang.
You cannot be afraid of anything, not just failure, but you can't be afraid of anything. You can't worry about if I make this decision and this is going to happen. What I did is when we first started out, I had no idea if this was going to work. I felt really good about it, though. But I had no idea if this was going to work. We ordered all these hats, had no financing, had what little money I had in the bank from my previous job. I literally just threw everything against the wall and see what would stick.
So he was working at family business, like delivering papers or selling papers.
It was like over an hour
Over
away.
an hour
He was
away.
driving.
Yeah. And he printed a hat one day and rocked it. And got so many compliments, like almost pre-sold them before even reordering them, that he thought, you know what? We should get a couple hundred of these.
But
I think he got 100 of them.
But the crazy part is, these were like, I don't think he even does these type of hats anymore. I don't know. Maybe he does.
No, he doesn't.
But they were wool hats.
They cost him $35
A piece.
and he was selling them for $45 a hat.
I mean, that's bold.
Yeah, that
Talk
is.
about people getting out there and getting scared of overhead and inventory. That is.
Yeah, he got almost $4,000 worth of inventory without making any sales. With people just saying, "Hey, I love that hat. Where'd you get that?" And he thought, this might be an opportunity. So you'll listen in episode 3 of how Ben literally used his back porch as an inventory warehouse for months and months and months.
Yeah, he said he couldn't use his garage because it was too dirty.
Yeah, because it was gross. Yeah, so he used his back porch. But he just got out there and he started. He wasn't concerned about filing the LLC versus the S Corp or getting the full-time business plan in or selling to this specific person. And he just got out there and he got some inventory and he did it and he sold them. And he told himself he wasn't going to quit until he sold through all of that. And then he ordered up again. He said, I'm not going to quit until I sell through all of this.
He just kept moving up.
And now he's in honestly one of Birmingham. Casey Neistat had one of his hats on in one of his YouTube videos recently. Casey freaking Neistat, who has 8 million YouTube subscribers, was wearing one of Ben Lancaster's AV8 hats. You've got to listen to Ben's story. That's episode 3 of the podcast. Seriously, a great way to just get started.
And then one of the craziest, as crazy as that story was about investing that money into those wool hats, wool hats. Episode 4 was just a little bit crazier than that.
Yeah, Matt doesn't do anything like halfway.
Matt Horowitz at LLCU, he really knew what he wanted, and he was going to do whatever it took to get it, right?
To say the least.
Like, dude, it's being in the game versus being on the sidelines. Like,
yeah,
man,
no
even
doubt,
better than
man.
the pancake. Like, it doesn't matter if you suck. I mean, you got cleats on, you're on the field.
Yeah.
Like, I've read dozens of books, gone to dozens of seminars, spent thousands. I've gone through so much knowledge and education. But the whole time I was learning, I was in the game. Like, making that connection from what you learn on the field and then what you learn by reading.
Well, being able to apply it, right?
Yeah, it's like strategy and tactics. It's Gary V's clouds and dirt. You know,
Nice.
it's all of that stuff combined. But I think that's the biggest thing is like, but again, that's my personality. I'm kind of like an extremist. I just jump in and then just figure it out along the way. But the learnings are so organic and natural because I'm on the field, not on the sideline just analyzing. So
Matt's an incredible story. And those of you who are thinking between how to file for an LLC, if you should hire an attorney, I'm not going to tell you if you should or shouldn't hire an attorney. Every situation is different. I'm not going to tell you if you should have an S Corp versus an LLC. Those are very serious decisions to make. But Matt over at LLCU, that's LLC University, has created everything that you need to do that yourself.
It's pretty crazy. Like, how many words did he tell us was on his website?
I wanted to say it was like 700,000 or something.
It's insane. Like, it's just so, which I guess a lot of people would say that and be like, wow, that's a lot. It is so much information, but it's super easy to use and hone in on what you're needing specifically. So you obviously aren't going to read all that, but it's just super awesome website with so much information for people who are looking to create an LLC.
Well, and going back to, first of all, what he paid for the website, the domain itself was $16,000. And then he had another like $15K in web dev just to develop the website itself, to host everything.
$16,000 for a domain.
And he put a lot of that on a credit card, keep in mind.
That he didn't even know was going to be successful.
Yeah. But he told himself, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it. And gosh, he has. And now he kills it online. He is like one of the, I think he at one point was leading Google for the term LLC. That's pretty phenomenal.
That's strong.
That is not an easy keyword to rank in. And going back to Jenny in episode 13, the pivot method, that's what Matt did. Matt ran, was a real estate agent, and he was having to create LLCs for many of his clients for them to buy investment property and funnel the cash through for tax incentives. He got to where he could literally do and create an LLC and file an LLC in his sleep in the state of Pennsylvania. And he thought, hold on a second. There's opportunity in a lot of other states for just this. And so he did it. He started. He didn't know if it was going to work necessarily, but he began. Now, I'm not telling you have to pay $16,000 for a website.
No, you really don't have to do that.
And I've got some tools that I'm about to tell you about that are going to teach you another way to do that. But the key here is just beginning, just getting started, not being shy. Of course, it's going to be uncomfortable. Has this been weird being on a podcast, Jonathan? Like the first few episodes, I look back and cringe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yes,
Awkward,
that is very true.
Uncomfortable. Our voices are out there forever. We're making promises to people that we have to fulfill. There are thousands of you who listen to this show, and we are extremely dedicated to fulfilling every last need of all of you. We get emails at theMillennovator@gmail.com addressed all the time for people to be on the show, for us to be on people's show, for listeners' feedback. We get it all the time, and we love it. But keep in mind, we just started.
We just started.
We just began. And a lot of this stuff is trial and error. Some of it doesn't work. Some of it does. As Nick Loper mentioned in episode 12, sometimes you just got to stick your neck out there and just do it. You don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did here at Millennovator, which really leads us perfectly into the third part of this episode, which is using what's in front of you. And I have to give it to my boy Willie D over here because the man is great at finding resources that are not just going to
burn a hole in your
Kill our
wallet.
banks.
Yeah, well, you can't. That's the key. When starting anything, you don't want to put thousands of dollars a month into it. You need to try it out. But in doing so, your stuff needs to look dang good.
Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about, as Will just said, you can't take a hurting on the look or the value that you're bringing. But if you dig and you look, or if you just join the Millennovator movement here in the community, there are resources out there that can get you the great looking, awesome stuff, whether that be on the web, whatever you're doing, whatever you're needing. There's resources out there if you look for them, and they are not super pricey. And some of them are actually free.
And let's go into 2 of those free resources here. So the third section of the show is using what is right in front of you. Right here. Now, we have people all the time who are on our website downloading some of these free resources that we have, and we love that. But so many of you that listen to the show don't really carry over and get on the website, which kind of baffles me because we have so many really great resources for you to get started. The first of which is the Side Hustle site launch. So first of all, a lot of you out there are thinking, well, yeah, I would love to begin, but what the frick, dude? This guy paid $15K in web dev. I'm not a developer. I don't code. I don't have money to spend on a website. Where do I buy the domain? Do I have to have it, trademarked? Like, where do I host it? Like, that is all freaking overwhelming. And trust me when I say I know it's overwhelming, Jonathan, because I've done it 5 times in 5 different ways. And they all suck.
They're all terrible.
They all suck. You've seen some of my work from the past days, and you've seen what I do today.
Oh, yeah.
What I do today is about 1,000% decrease in cost.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, Will has been great about really researching different resources. And the Side Hustle site launch is really just taking all of those resources and putting them in one pretty package
precisely
for you.
Yeah. So all this is a 5-step strategy for a 24-hour website launch. That's really at its basic. That's it. You can grab this. It's at millennovator.com/side hustler. It's that simple. So all you've got to do, it's literally a how-to tutorial. There's a PDF with about 10 pages on it. Yeah. And inside of that PDF are 5 different videos that are seriously walking you through exactly what you have to do, providing the links of where to buy, providing tips on how to get a domain name, even showing you my screen on how to host your website. It's that easy. And not to mention, if you follow through all of these steps, you're literally spending less than $1 per day to have your website live. That's it. Like less than $1 per day. And keep in mind, I'm not saying less than $1 per day to access the Side Hustle site launch PDF. That's free. All you got to do is go to millennovator.com/side hustler. But to keep all this live, to keep doing it, to have your website hosted, to have your website beautiful, to capture leads, literally it's $1 per day. It's that simple, guys. Like you really don't need a crazy in-depth website built. No, I mean, you can easily build as many pages as you want to for less than $1 a day. It's that simple. And only spend like a couple hours doing it. So head over to millennovator.com/side hustler and grab that 5-step strategy. It's super easy. Every step along the way is accompanied with detailed video instruction. The process is super quick. It's super easy. I followed through it. In fact, I've had people emailing me being like, dude, check out my site. I launched it. Like, that's cool. It's not difficult.
And once you do that, you'd probably be very interested in our second resource that we have to offer you, which again, a bunch of different resources that we've found for great prices and put them in a nice, neat little package for you. And that's a guide to the one-person marketing team.
Yeah. So all you got to do is go to millennovator.com/full-time hustler.
See what we did there?
And download that. So this is super easy. Now, I will say, like, to utilize all of those resources, there's a little bit more of a penny. I think if you utilized everything in that docket, you're talking about close to $100 a month in all-in marketing cost. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, no doubt.
I've got proven resources in there that we use every single day. Like I've been utilizing this stuff daily for years. I've got kind of honestly, really and truly, some marketing agencies, some pals of mine are going to be really ticked that I share this, but this is showing you the stuff that agencies don't want you to know.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're literally stealing their secret sauce that they will charge you tens of thousands. Again, like I said, I've been there. I've done that. Tens of thousands of dollars to find out. And I've got some really, really awesome ways, and I call these 7 tools, but really this is just all about creating content, building content. A piece of this is all about being a content machine, and in return, being an industry expert that people want to buy from. People want to buy from you. So ditch the overpaid web developer, ditch the overpriced marketing groups, save yourself buttloads of money, capture thousands more leads, and honestly find hours upon hours worth of time by downloading this. Like, trust me, you can be your own marketing team. You don't
really
have to hire
can.
this out. So that's at millennovator.com/full-time hustler. Also, you'll see Jonathan is on that guide, on the cover of the guide, looking like a slick Rick, cool stuff. But listen, on both of those web pages, I want to tell you, if you do end up downloading the resource, go to the very bottom of the page and introduce yourself to our community. People have been on there saying, what's up? I'm from New Zealand. What's up? I'm from Kenya. That's cool. I like that. I just made those 2 places up. But there are people listening to the show all over the world. And if you go to millennovator.com/side hustler and download the resource, or millennovator.com/full-time hustler, I want you to introduce yourself, your business, and tell us where you're from. It connects to Facebook, and it's just a comment underneath. That's really fun stuff.
Yeah. And if you do all that and you just really decide, I really want to focus on my craft and I don't want to do this, then, give us a call. We'll talk a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Send us an email too, millennovator@gmail.com. We're always open to helping people walk through these resources in a better way, in a more convenient way to you. We think that you need to focus on your business, number one. Not everybody likes doing the lead generation, likes making everything look all beautiful and pretty, likes developing a website. Again, I've created the resource for you to do it in less than $1 a day, in less than 24 hours. I'm confident you can do that.
Pretty
I
solid.
did, and I'm not tech savvy. I want you to know that. But you can do this. So, guys, you've now learned how to find the right side hustle, how to find the way to do it, and then using the resources that we've created for you in order to execute. So what's the excuse now? I'm holding you accountable.
There is none.
There are no excuses. Don't make them. Get on the site, download these tools, and keep listening. First of all, thank you so much for listening. What an awesome 4 months it's been, man.
Oh, man.
Signing out with you every single day, logging in, recording these. The amount of people we've been introduced because of having this show is incredible. Those of you listening, if you feel you are a good fit to be on the show, you may or may not be. If you want to be, we get emails almost every day, pretty often. I have to turn around many of them, but you can send us an email to request to be on the show at millennovator@gmail.com.
I've really just so much enjoyed the episodes we've had so far, just because, like I said, inspiring, man. I mean, sometimes me and Will are just beating our chest after an episode, an interview with someone.
I ripped a shirt once.
And I know, if you're ever having a day where you're doubting your side hustle or full-time hustle,
and you will,
just get on here and listen to an episode. And if you need one, for a specific reason, then email us at millennovator@gmail.com and we will recommend one for you.
Yeah, we'll send you the right
I'm telling
one.
you, man, that these episodes, they'll get you going. So be sure to continue to listen to those, as Will said. And I really enjoyed this. Just me and Will. We haven't done that since episode 1. And that was
solo, baby.
That was pretty short. But I love recapping. I mean,
yeah,
it's great.
we're rolling with it. So maybe on week, what would that be, 33 or 34? We could do it again. Take a look back.
Yeah.
Because we've got some good episodes coming up in the docket. I want these people to know.
Yeah.
Some really good online entrepreneurs who are getting started, and that's who you are. You're just getting started.
Yeah, we try to get people who are, in all areas of side hustler or full-time hustler. We've had some people who are just starting, and we have some people that are more successful, and it'll continue to be that way. We don't want to ever have it where it's just one type of person, one type of entrepreneur, but we also want to have super solid people, and that's the promise that we're going to have to you. We're also always going to have, super solid Millennovators on this show.
So my Millennovator friends, thank you guys for tuning in to the recap episode. Hope this highlight reel was helpful. I want you to get out there and get started. You know where to begin. The only person that's going to hold you back is yourself. Any final words, Jonathan, my friend?
As usual, I will say, get after it.
Sayonara, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to call your mother and tell that woman that you love her. And if you love the show almost as much, subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a sweet review. We're definitely not ashamed to blush. Now, go forward and implement what you learned from today's episode into your business. We cannot wait to personally hear your story of success and replicate it 1,000 times over.
Give me the